Well, hello, this is Peter Combs from Bitamount.com and P.O. Combs Asian Art in Gloucester, Massachusetts, and BitamountLive.com, also in Gloucester, Mass. And today is June 11th of 2021, and in this video we're going to talk about a couple of sales that are coming up in just a few days. One of them is in a few weeks, is the Robe Michiels sales, and before that is a sale taking place in Italy at Pandolfini. And those of you that are not aware of what's going on over there is a few months ago I mentioned that there was a couple of major pieces were found in local collections, and they're both absolutely wonderful, and they're now online. And I want to take you over and have a look at them, and you'll see what I'm talking about. The catalog for the sale is on the Bitamount research section over in the library here. If you scroll down to the red box, click that, it'll bring you over here, and the first catalog is the Pandolfini sale. Here it is, and this is going to take place in Florence, where Pandolfini has been since their inception back in I think about 1924. It's a very old auction house. They have a very good reputation, and they deal with some of the best collections in Italy. If you're not familiar with them, I strongly suggest that you get to know them a little bit, because they get great things and they cover a wide range of objects. It's a good auction house. But the pieces that we're going to talk about, we're going to start with this one right here. This absolutely amazing Marken period Doucai enameled 100 boys with Anbakshan decoration, or not Bakshan, 8 Buddha symbol decoration rather. It's absolutely incredible, and I'm going to pull up some pictures of it and give you an idea of what it is we're talking about, what I'm talking about here. This is the vase, and this is a big vase. It's 70 centimeters tall, so it's 28, 29 inches tall. It's very large. It's Doucai, and these are large Doucai vases for the Qianlong period are very rare. You may remember that there was a Ping vase that came up that was Qianlong Marken period a few years ago. I think it brought $15 or $20 million. Most Doucai pieces tend to be on the small side. And most of them are under 12 inches. You tend to see small plates and so forth, but you don't see very often great big vases like this. And this is an absolutely amazing piece of porcelain. And if you blow it up, you get a good idea of what the quality of the work is on here. If you notice that the bat is unbelievably well shaded and designed and done very much as they were. You see this design of bat with this face and these details on Qianlong moon flask fairly often. They turn up this way, but check the handles. The handles are superbly fine. Very fine all the way up. The vase is not perfect. This is something I spoke to somebody that's very familiar with this sale, and he told me the vase is not perfect. It has an old break up here, and you can see where they filled it in a bit. But keeping in mind that the Skinners a few years ago had the $25 million Qianlong vase that hit everything but the lottery. That thing had cracks and fractures all through it, and still did very well. When the pieces are rare enough, then you should anticipate a very good result. And here are the Buddha symbols running around the shoulder of the piece, and then this beautiful underglazed blue decoration creating the hillscapes, and then the hillsides, and then the outline of the figures, the facial aspects of the boys. Just absolutely great. Very fine quality. The other thing I wanted to mention was that the family that owned it, there's a picture included in the sale, we'll get to it in a little bit, showing it in the living room of the house with a lady sitting by it, so you get a very good idea of just how big this thing is. And I did some looking. I wanted to see how many big Doucai Qianlong vases have been around over the last few years, and I could only find a couple between both Sotheby's and Christie's. And I mean a couple, anything over 15 or 20 inches tall. Beyond that, they just don't turn up very often. And according to what we were able to find out, the only similar vase to this that's nearly identical is in the Beijing Museum, in the Palace Museum in Beijing. And they have apparently one of them, and it was published in Orientations magazine some time ago. And that's it. And what that means is that by the time the sale takes place, a lot of people are going to figure out how many of these vases there are, especially folks over in China. They'll do some real digging. And if this is the only other one, even though it's cracked and damaged, could do awfully well. It is an estimate on request. They haven't published what the estimate is on it. Sometimes that's really just a marketing move, by the auction house. They want to make it seem dramatic. I don't know what the estimate is. I suspect it's probably in the $2 million range or so, but I think this could do awfully well even with the damage. With that bit of damage at the top, because it's such a large and incredibly finely decorated piece. And if you notice down here, this very soft, almost chiffon yellow enamel that they use, which you do see on the very best small Doucai enamel pieces, and these beautifully done lotuses, and these fabulously well done dragons or chimeras baby dragons coming around the bottom, and there's another lotus just loaded with the symbolism. And the thing that's very interesting is that the gilding on this vase is in very nice condition overall, all the way around. You notice the gilding, the points where it was gilded, is still very much intact. This gong, the symbols, and so forth. And there are kids on here they're carrying a dragon. Let's see if we can get over to it in a second. There's the dragon. Oh, no, wait a minute. We'll go back to the other side. Hold on a second. Ba 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 ba. Oh, here are the elephants. This thing has elephants. Look at these wonderful elephants. I love this thing. Excuse me for the little detour. Here it is. Here are some of the elephant drawing, the way they're smiling at each other. And again, you have these enameled saddles with vases on them. And as you recall, you often see bronzes done in this way with elephants with vases on their backs. And here is an example of it painted onto here. And you have the kid here blowing the trumpet, blowing a horn. And let's see here. Where's the other thing with the dragon? There it is. The dragon is great. It almost looks like a snake. It's very, very well done, and they have it up on poles, and they're doing a little dragon dance, 100 boys pattern, dragon dance, massive vase. It has a couple of condition things, but if it is the only one, it's going to be worth a lot of money, a huge amount of money, because it's so rare. Apparently it has not been on the market or was acquired by the family back in around 1915 or something, or 1910. They think there's a story that perhaps it came from Puyi, the last of the imperial family, when he was selling off things to raise money. They don't have any documents for that, but apparently that is the understanding that's had by the family, how they got it. And it's not a surprise. This is an imperial vase. It's an unbelievably fine one, an unbelievably rare one. I did a lot of looking to see if I could find another one like it, and couldn't. Just couldn't. The only big Doucai pieces I saw was there was a Doucai dragon vase that sold a year or so ago, a few months back, and it did pretty well, but it wasn't anywhere nearly as well done as this. It had just a dragon on it and some perfunctory flowers and things. But this is just absolute, and it still brought a lot of money. It still brought $500,000 or so, I forget. But this is an absolutely superb vase, and we'll see what it does. But if you're interested in it, get a hold of them over there. It is a killer, and it's just one of those, you know, every few years they find something turns up in Europe or turns up in the United States that's just completely out of the blue, like the famous Tang vase that turned up in Paris a few years ago that was sold at Sotheby's, the lady on the train story. Remember that? And it brought $17 million. The only mate to it that's known, I think, is in the Guimet, and there might be one in the Palace Museum, and that's it. And here you are again. The only mate that's known to this right now, as of this moment, is one in the Beijing Palace Museum. Also, there are none in collections. None of them have been through auctions that anybody knows of, so we'll see how it does. But absolutely stupendous piece of porcelain. And then on to this. This is another fascinating thing. This is a Yongzheng period charger, Marken period. And I think this is an early Yongzheng charger, too, on top of it. Before Tang Ying took over the kilns, and I'll tell you why in a second here if we can get to the right picture. Let's try this one. There we go. It is beautifully decorated, very much in the Yongzheng style. You can blow it up, and this type of shading of the flowers, the way the butterflies are done, and then you have these sort of branch borders on the on the upper rim floating around it. And what's amazing about this charger, it is 53 centimeters in diameter. I believe is the 54.5 centimeters in diameter. Excuse me. So it is right around 20 inches, 21 inches in diameter. This is a very, very, very big charger. And other chargers like this have turned up on the market over the years. There was this charger here at Christie's a while back that brought, in November of 2006, ended up selling for 9 million Hong Kong. All right. This one is a little bit later. I think this probably was done during the Tang Ying era, and then there was this one that turned up over in also at Christie's in 2021, sold for $437,000. And here's the back of it. But what's interesting about the one that's turned up at Pandolfini is you notice how the script here. This is the one that was at Christie's. You see that the rain mark is applied in two column script rain mark, and notice the characteristic of the foot rim and how that's shaped and how it's looked. It's sort of rounded and very snowy white and so forth. The Pandolfini example I think is older. I think the Pandolfini example is from an earlier time in the period, and I'll tell you why. We'll get over here to it. It'll take a second. There it is. Here's the back of it. Come on, load. Here we go. You notice the rain mark on the back of it. It says Yongzheng, but it's done very much in the manner of Kangxi marks. It is written in 3 columns of 2, which is something you don't see very often at all on Yongzheng pieces. Typically, they're written in 2 columns of 3. This is two columns. 3 columns of 2 characters, and the foot rim on it in particular is very reminiscent, I think, more of a Kangxi foot rim that makes sense because of the Kangxi, the way they made porcelain in the Kangxi period didn't change overnight when the Yongzheng era began. And my feeling on this plate is that it was made early in the Yongzheng period when they were still doing the foot rims and doing the marks in this manner. All right, which makes it, I think, a very interesting piece. And notice the back of it has this beautiful sort of vert and famille rose wave pattern running around the bottom. And this is a pattern you most often see on 19th century, later Qing examples on vases, bowls, tazzas from the Doucai period and so forth. And here it is, a very, very fine rendition of it on the back of this plate. And it's clearly an early plate. And on the front of it, on the front of the plate, you have this beautifully done, very beautifully shaded famille rose enameling. And again, a 54 centimeter in diameter dish. So this plate is over 20 inches wide. And they made very, very few of these. As I said, I found a couple, and they all sell in the several $100,000 range. It'll be interesting to see how this does as an earlier example, which with an unusual mark on it. I think the mark has a lot of power behind what this thing will bring, and I like the branch deck, the floating branches around the rim. They did do this in the Yongzheng period. They were known for it, and this style of flower was also carried through the entire Yongzheng period. We've seen it on chrysanthemum dishes. You see the way it was shaded and so forth. And just a beautiful bit of enameling. Even the white enameling of this flower here, you can barely see unless you really look at it. It has a little bit of wear, it looks like, on the face of the plate here and there on the ground. If you look here in the upper left and so forth, but it is a very early plate, and I think it's going to do very well. I don't know what the estimate on it is. I suspect they probably estimated it $100,000 to $200,000 US, or whatever it translates to in euros. But I wouldn't be surprised if this did very, very well, because I think it's an early example of Yongzheng ware, which makes, I think, it particularly interesting. And then they have other things in the sale, too. I mean, they have something here for everybody. This is a very nice little Doucai Marken period yellow vase, little vase. How big is this thing? It's 13 centimeters, so it's about 6 inches tall. Nicely done, very nicely done. Blow it up. Here's a picture of the bottom. Looks fine. Nice white foot rim. And then you have this sort of incise decoration into the body before it was glazed, so that the glaze darkens over the carving in it to highlight the work. And we'll pull this in. This is a sweet little vase. There it is. The dragons going up the neck. Beautifully done. And I'm not crazy about the pointer system they have here. There, this works a little better. There we go. There's the dragon. Right down to the foot rim. Nice looking little vase. Estimated modestly at, what's the estimate? 3,000 to 5,000 euros. All right, there it is again. We'll just leave it alone. I'm going to mess with it. And We'll see how that does. Excuse my hand. It's all bandaged up. It's a mess still. I've got a ways to go. And over here to this is another 19th century famille rose vase. This one also is pretty good size, 61 centimeters. It's 24 and a half inches tall, beautifully decorated. It's a rather unusual pattern on this. I like this a lot. It's an interior scene, but very, very finely done. Very, very finely done. Nice big root tables over there on the left. Good-looking facial expressions on all the figures. The enameling looks good. I love the guy sleeping in the chair and so forth. Estimated at, what is this? Estimated at $1,500 to $2,000, which I think is very, very reasonable. Get a condition report if you have time and throw a bid on it. Oh, I meant to say that those two major lots, the two big premium lots in the sale, do require a cash deposit up front. All right, because of the problems of non-payers out of some countries. They've taken the move that they're going to require a down payment. You get refunded the money immediately after the sale. They release the money right back to you. It's absolutely fine. Don't have any concerns about that. But if you're interested in bidding in either of those two lots, expect to put up a fairly serious amount of money to be able to bid. I don't know what it is. But I'd say probably 50 or so, or 100, maybe even $100,000 on the vase. As an advance deposit or some sort of surety of payment, unless you know them, and then they'll take it. No, the big auction houses all do this now, so it's not that unusual. All right, and then you have this very nice sculpture of Guanxi, the Chinese figure. It's a bronze. It's beautifully done, and nice patina on it. Nice facial expression, very, very relaxed. Good surface all the way down this thing. Absolutely great. And they made a nice little wooden stand for it, which I like a lot. But that's a terrific little bronze. If you're a bronze buyer, you do want to check these out. It is estimated, 10 to 15,000 euros, which is about right. But this is a big one. This isn't one of those 4 or 5 inch things. This thing is over a foot tall. It's about 13 inches tall. It's a great big bronze. And 10 to 15,000 euros for that, I think, is very reasonable. And then over here, there's a couple of very nice paintings. This is just one of them. I happen to like this because to me, the workmanship, I noticed something about this. Wait for the thing to load. There we go. Obviously it's a landscape scene taken from something very, very nicely done. Beautiful women, 18th century, obviously. And the horses are done by very much in the manner of the Castiglione. Hold on. If you check down here, the way the horses are done, stylistically, very typical of Castiglione's work. I don't think this is by Giuseppe Castiglione, but I think his influence is pretty clear here, the way these horses are done, because he was famous for doing the 100-horse painting, and he was such a favorite of the emperor that Chinese artists quickly adopted his style of painting because it's what the emperor liked, it's what everybody should like, and I suspect that's why they're done that way. But a very nice painting, and there's quite a few good watercolors and paintings in here, and there's even a couple of nice export paintings. So check the sale out just for that if you're a painting buyer. And then there was this. This just struck me as terrific. It's a 19th century pottery piece done like a Ming one of a seated Fu lion or a quillin. But the glazing on it was just terrific, done like Ming pottery. I love the way this thing is done. You got to love the face on this guy. Why is this thing such a nuisance to maneuver? There we go. All the way down. Beautifully glazed. Nice looking skin tones on it. Deep cobalt scrolling at the bottom. There we go. There's the face. There we go right there. I love the tongue and the teeth and everything coming out of it. Just the way very animated, just the way you like to see them. And the high points on it all look pretty good. They look like they've been broken off on the tip of his whiskers or anything, which is very common on these figures. And this is a decently sized one as well. It's 25 centimeters tall, so it's about 8 or 9 inches in height, estimated modestly at 1,500 to 2,000 euros. So do check that out. And then they have a number of good monochromes. This one struck me as particularly nice. They figure it to be a Qianlong example. I suspect it is. I wish they included a picture of the foot rim, but it's got a beautiful glaze on it. Pull this up here. It's got a very, very nice, soft, very fine crackle glaze. And there it is. And it's got a brown dressing around the rim and nice looking, very simple, elegant loop handles there. Scrolling down it, but the proportions, the way the body swells out and then tapers in quickly and then kicks out to that nice little flared foot at the bottom, giving it a sense of stability. Very attractive. And they only date it just Qianlong period. They don't get into, try to be too precise on it. It's about 6 inches in height, so it's a nice size, and that is estimated at just 700 to 900 euros. And then at the end, this is something else that's not crazily estimated. It's an 18th century turquoise celadon. I suspect this is probably a Kangxi period turquoise, not celadon, but turquoise bowl with later mounts, European mounts on it, obviously. But very, very nicely done. Beautiful. That crackle, those little square cube crackles, makes me think it's probably Kangxi. Notice how square they are. They often would look like that. And then there's nice thick area at the bottom where you see it getting quite dark as the glaze slipped under. And it has nice mask handles. I do wish they had more pictures, though. They're a little chintzy on the pictures on some of the lots. It would help if they did this and they showed the bottom. I don't know who did the bronze castings. They're either probably French, I would guess, or English, who knows. But beautiful mounts that were added onto it. But it's a very nice piece. And the estimate is bargain basement. I think the estimate is way below 500 to 600 euros, unless there's something horrifyingly wrong with it that's not evident here. So that's why you get the condition report. It measures 20 centimeters tall, or about 8 inches in height. Charming little thing with a very, very reasonable estimate. So it's certainly worth chasing down. And the entire sale is pretty good. So if you haven't dealt with Pandolfini before, give them a ring. I like the look of this sale a lot. All right. And then Robe Michiels has a sale coming up. It's broken up into 3 sections. On the first will be Chinese and Japanese general works of art. There's some nice things in there. There's 175 lots in the first section of the sale, and then there's the premium sale right in the middle that's got about 40 lots in it. Some nice ceramics. We're going to take a look at them, and then at the end there's sort of a mixture of fine Chinese, European, and Islamic works of art. And in the section 3 is where they put all the Ming stuff. I don't know why. There's a bunch of good Ming stuff in there. And we're going to go through some of those images and some of the other parts of the sale just to give you a sense of it. Rob always does a good job. And as many of you know, they take lots of pictures. And they do, on their better lots, they'll do regular studio shots. And then they do what they call their daylight pictures, where they have a window or someplace good to show good daylight exposure, what the colors are like, to give you a sense of how it'll appear in person, because you get the studio effect, then you get the sunlight effect. But these are just some of the pieces that are in here. It goes on. This is just page 1 of I don't know. Maybe I've got them all showing. I think I've got them all showing at any rate. Lots of pairs of vases. Again, some very nice spoons. They had some spoons in their sale earlier this year, and they did awfully well. So they apparently got some more of them. The estimates this time around are still, I thought they were reasonable last time. They're reasonable this time, too. If you're a spoon collector, some good bronzes, lacquerware, Japanese work. I think there's some Shibayama stuff in here. Lots of monochromes. He's got some very, very nice monochromes. He's got this very good-looking Fang Hui gilt decorated, probably Guanxi period vase, and there's a bunch of Maraban jars, and so on and so forth. But let's take a look at some of the premium lots. This is, which sale is this? This is the premium sale. And there's some very fine blue and white in here, and there's a couple of pieces in particular, meaning this bowl and this transitional period sensor. And I want to take a look at those. I hope I thought to put them up front. Yeah, I did. All right, here it is. This is one of the niftiest transitional period sensors I've seen. It truly, truly is. I love the animals on it. They're beautifully, beautifully done. Clouds and rocks, very typical. The grasses, that check U-shaped grasses that the transitional pieces was so well known for. And the facial expressions of the Fu lions here and here. They look mischievous but friendly. I like that. And here's another shot of it a little further away. And here they are with the Kieran in the background, with the scaly body and so forth. It's interesting because he has pod feet, and most Kierans are depicted with hoof feet. But it is a Kieran, obviously, by the way his head is done and the horns and so forth. And they're both sitting sort of they're oversized. You notice there's a balustrade behind them right here. So these are like really big Fu lions and Kierans, bigger than humans, which I think is great, almost like monsters. They're just massive. And then you have that very classical, big leaf trees in the painting, and then the pine trees in the background here, where they fill them out quickly, and then and then sort of color them over with this sort of light greenish tinged blue enamel or blue cobalt. Oh, here come the fire trucks. Something going on. There was something going on down in the harbor earlier. A whole bunch of trucks went by. I didn't hear anything yet, but we'll see. Hope nobody's hurt. They have a lot of rescues out of Gloucester, especially in the summer, because the tourists are up here getting into trouble on their boats. All right, now on to here, and here's another one of these, a sort of a seated mythical beast on his haunch. Very mischievous looking, though. And this is still on this one piece. Absolutely great piece of transitional ware. And I think the estimate is incredibly low for this. 5,000 to 6,000 or 5,000 euros is the opening bid for the 5,000 to 10,000 euro estimate. I think that is very, very low. I think that is a steal. This is a great piece of transitional ware. It's beautifully painted and interesting and very unusual. It really is. And then over here to this enormous Kangxi Bowl. This thing is, what is this, 36 centimeters in diameter. You don't see Kangxi bowls that are 15, 16 inches in diameter very often. You see them in Wanli pieces and things like that more often than in Kangxi. But this one is beautifully painted. It's got some obvious fritting up here along the rim, which you do expect on Kangxi pieces, especially the pieces that are sort of on the early, 1700 and before. They tend to frit a little bit more. But this is a nice looking bowl. I love the way it's been done. I love how they did the willow trees. It almost looks like a mist folding in on everybody. And there's just a series of willow trees hanging over almost all the way around the bowl, except where it breaks open to go up into the mountains. And then they move the willow trees down into the foreground to balance the picture. And then you have these scholarly figures in the sort of center foreground of it. And I also love this. I like the way they did the clouds. They had these clouds come down and then interrupted by the willows. Just a very interesting, very nice bowl, and estimated at what's the estimate on this thing? 5,000 to 10,000 euros, which again I don't think is bad. I suspect it'll probably sell for pretty close to its high estimate. But again, massive bowl. This is basically, you're in the range of a punch bowl from the Kangxi period, and you don't see those often. Most Kangxi bowls are under 8 or 9 inches in diameter. All right, and then over to this gilt decorated Guangxi Marken period vase, and when you first see it, it just looks like a salmon red vase. It's not. It's all done in Shao characters, with Buddha swastikas and clouds all the way down it. Very, very nicely done. This is one of the daylight photos to give you a strong idea of what it'll look like. And always look at things on a couple different monitors. If you have access to a couple of monitors, a couple of cell phones, always look at them on different devices. It really will help you home in on the color. Here's a view from the top. There's the foot rim, slightly with a slight bit of orange dressing on it. This is not faked, in my opinion. Okay, they do add gunk to the bottoms of them, but that looks okay. They did add natural color sometimes that was reflective of the body of the piece itself in color. And again, this is estimated at 4,000 to 8,000 pounds, which is very reasonable for a Guangxi piece, and we'll see how that goes. And moseying along for this, if you're a monochrome buyer, this is a very nice Langli bladder form vase, late 18th century, beautifully done, nice deep dark red. The red on this is just terrific. Very, very deep, very red, very rich, right down to the bottom. All right, here's a picture of the foot rim on it, exactly what you want to see, how the bottom of this thing should look. A nice white glaze. Sometimes there's a slight crackle to this glaze, but again, you have that sort of chalky paste foot rim coming down off of it. It's been all hand trimmed and so forth, and the glaze, as you can see, stops very, very neatly just above the foot rim, which is a good sign. Here's a shot down it from above. And excellent little vase, estimated at 4,000 to 8,000 euros, which is right in the strike zone for one of these. And this thing was it was a good size too. It was also 36 inches in height. This wasn't, because these bladderform vases, as many of you know, they can be anywhere from 5 or 6 inches tall and up. So this one is about 15 inches in height. This is not a small one. This is a nice big one with a good strong color, so it'll really stand out. And then on to this one. This one is also quite big. This is even bigger. This is 42 centimeters in height. This dragon vase with underglaze red on it. A really, really lovely example. They have the collection information that it came from, but notice how strong the underglaze red is on it. It does tip a little. The neck does tip a little bit. It's slightly off, which will bother some people and not bother others. It doesn't especially bother me if everything else is done so well. And the underglaze red on this and this bluish green ground behind it is superb. There's the bottom of it, nice broad, slightly canted in foot rim. Apparently it had a label that by the time this was taken, they lost the label, or something happened to it. It seems something. I don't know. I get a clarification on that. It's estimated at 20 to 40,000 euros, which is about right because it's underglaze red. If it was underglaze blue, it would be worth about a quarter of that. But underglaze red is much rarer. That beautiful, beautiful copper red. It's Kangxi period, and it is 42 centimeters, almost 43 centimeters in height, which means it is, what is that? That's around 55, about 16 inches in height, something like that. It's a big vase, very nice big vase. And over here they also have a very attractive pair of almost cafe ground or soft cream-colored Yongzheng Marken period dishes, Pear Saucers, beautifully decorated, simple white interior. But I do like the color of the outside of that. That's quite a fine color, sort of yellowish, soft yellow tan. There it is. And there's the back of one. So there's a pair. One of them is a little darker than the other, which I kind of like. And we'll see how they do. Here's the daylight photo. They're estimated at 20 to 40,000 euros. That might be a little strong, but they're unusual because of their color and the simplicity of them. So we'll see how those do. And lastly, there's a pair of transitional Doucai form vases. Of course, this is the form that most often you see in bronzes from those old, starting out way back, early bronzes, and they still made them in porcelain for a long time. But the colors on these seem quite strong and quite vibrant. And it is a pair, which makes them fabulously desirable because pairs of these vases are unusual. All right, and it looks like if they're trying to show there's a tiny little nick up here and maybe a fissure in the glaze there. As always, like I say, get a condition report, do your due diligence to make sure you have everything. If this might be a repair right here, or maybe bad light, you want to get it clarified and so forth before you spend any of your hard-earned money. All right, but the estimate is pretty reasonable: 8 to 12,000 euros for a pair of transitional reform vases, which I don't think is unreasonable at all. If one of them has a little damage to it, a little repair to it, then you're still in the I think well within the lower end of the estimate. But very attractive, and as they say, they repair. And these vases are decent size. These are probably 17 inches or so. 35. Oh, even more. These things are getting up. Yeah, 18, 19 inches in height, something like that. The 54 centimeters. So that's fine. All right. And those are those two sales. The Robe Michiels sale starting in a few weeks on June 24th, June 25th, and then on the 15th, the sale that's taking place with Pandolfini on the 14th. Let me double check, make sure we get all the information properly here. There we are. June, the 15th of June. So it's in a few days. Today's the 11th, but do check it out. Check out that Doucai vase and that absolutely beautiful Yongzheng period famille rose dish. And I think that is a very early Yongzheng dish, which is why the script is done in the manner that it was, and the way the colors look, the way the foot rim looks. That's just my opinion on it. Somebody can call and tell me I'm crazy, but that's my personal impression of it from what I can see. Alrighty, and that's it. I'll be doing the regular video also in a little while today, so there'll be 2 videos up today. And thanks for watching. Alrighty, and subscribe to us here on YouTube. Come over to Bidamount, visit us. We do these videos every at least once a week. Sometimes we do a couple of them a week. All right, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.